Welcome to this tutorial on creating glass shader for Hardware Render Viewpoint 2.0. So let's start off by going into the Hypershader. So I'll just click on the little icon, bring up the Hypershader. And here we have an existing glass shader already created. So what we'll notice is that we've got a material whereby it's less transparent on the sides and also less reflective in the middle as well. So it's giving the illusion of glass. So how we achieve this is using what's called a sample info, and we're looking at the facing ratio, and so what that means is which way the camera is facing, and will depend on how this material is being applied. Now this is pumping into the V coordinates of a ramp. So the ramp is then the out color of the ramp is going, in this case, into the transparency. So what that means is it's taking the color values and creating a gradient version of those values across the surface according to where the camera is pointing. So for example, if I change this gray value, I'll just drag that into black and move that black across, then you can see it's going to be less transparent towards the center until we get to a point where it's not transparent at all. There's a sample info and ramp not only on the transparency but also on the reflectivity. So if we look down here in the reflectivity value, there's one inside there as well. The other thing you'll notice is that we have not only a reflective value but a reflective color. So connected to the color is a environment shader attribute, so this one down here. So this is just a procedural shader that looks like a sun, like a sky and a sun. So I can actually go in and change some of the values. So the other things to note is the color value of the glass is set to black. So let's start from the beginning and make our shader. So we're going to start, I'll just clear out our working space. Let's start from the beginning and make a shader from scratch. To start with, we're going to use a blend because we want the reflectivity and the specular. We'll then change the color value to be black, and we're going to start with the transparency. So the transparency, we're going to click on the little icon here and bring up a ramp and connect that into it. Now the ramp needs to have a V coordinate associated to the info. So we'll bring up the info, sampler info, like so, and we're going to take the V coordinate and drag and drop it into facing ratio. So now if we go in and change our value of our black to be less black, it's going to be transparent, more transparent on the sides, and you'll have a little drop off. So I'm just going to rename this glass. Now that we've got the transparency, let's work on the reflection. But first, let's create a reflective matte. And to do that, we can go into reflective color and go to environment texture, and I use the environment sky. Now to adjust the reflectivity, we're going into reflective value and we're adding a new ramp, and we're going to get another sample info drag the V into the facing ratio. And now flip those around so it's more reflective on the sides and less in the middle. And there we have our glass, which probably needs a little bit of tweaking. Okay, after some adjustment, I've come to this sort of settings. So I'll just go through them. So the transparency, the map, the ramp is looking like this. And I've also got the reflective ramp like so. I've also just put a little bit of blue in the specular color. The specular roll-off is down to 0.5 roundabout, and the eccentricity is set to 0.122. Besides that, I've actually increased the incandescence a little bit. Like, I think it's a bit dangerous doing this, but in this lighting condition, it sort of helps to, make it look like it's a little bit brighter. So that's it. That's building a glass shader using Maya Viewpoint 2.0. Hope you enjoyed.